Welcome back to Investing with Confidence, sponsored by Online Trading Academy, teaching people just like you for over 25 years how to get in the stock market, options, futures, Forex, any type of strategy, income strategies, and wealth strategies. And we do talk about the do's and the don'ts here on the show. If you happen to miss tickets for that investing class, we had a lot of people texting in. Thanks for texting in about that. Text the word investing to the number 210-210. That's text investing to the number 210-210 for 2 free tickets. You can bring your spouse with you. A lot of people always bring their spouse with, especially if you make your financial decisions together. You're also going to receive a quick start kit. In this kit, Al, there's some free stuff in there. Some
There
free
is.
stock picks, and that's what everybody likes.
Free is good.
Free 99, right? So in the last segment, we talked a little bit about, we have negative GDP for 2 quarters in a row, which classifies as a recession. And a lot of people are down on their luck right now. And people are looking for opportunities to have a second source of income, because that's really how you build wealth in this world. And it's not having one job, which is just over broke. It's having multiple sources of cash flow, because one fills or pays your bills, has some fun, but you got to have enough left over to fill that retirement bucket, whether it's a 401k or IRA, basically to save. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, Al. There's a lot of people listening that are searching for those income strategies, and the market might be a potential opportunity for them. So what are some of the techniques? What are some of the strategies that our listeners can start to, I guess, understand what those concepts are to have income strategies with the stock market?
Well, before I kind of go into those specific things, I want to talk just a little bit more about why it's so important to generate an additional income. First of all, we talk about this a lot, where we know that the people that are truly successful and comfortable financially have multiple sources of income. Not jobs, but maybe one job and then maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different sources of income. Why that's so important now is that the pressure on your income to provide what it has provided before is huge. With the latest Fed increase in interest rates, 3/4 of a point, that's going to impact mortgages. It's going to impact car loans. It's going to impact home equity loans, any kind of loan, credit cards, all those things that are going to impact you, and the cost of living, food, energy up over 40%.
Yeah, and just to kind of clarify what the Fed is doing, they're raising interest rates because they're trying to slow down the economy, which will lower inflation.
Right.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, and they have to do that by decreasing demand, and they decrease the demand by increasing prices. So it's
Correct.
intentional and it's necessary, but if they overdo it, then we do go into a recession. And I think the maybe one of the most important components of that could impact you are job losses. That
That's the
typically
key,
happens
yeah.
during recession. But right now, the pressure on your ability to have extra money left over after you pay the basic living cost to put money into a retirement plan are being that pressure is intensifying. So income now is important, but income in retirement is important too. And we have gone through a period of time here where the interest rates were basically zero, and the Fed was just providing liquidity on a regular basis. That was easy money. That era is over. That time period of easy money is over, and it's going to impact the way people live. So learning how to generate additional income, I think, is extremely important. Now, the other thing to remember is inflation didn't just start here recently. Since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, the dollar has lost roughly 97.8% of its value.
What does that mean?
Well, it means the much less buying power. If you look at what $100 bought you back in 2000 or 1913 compared to what it buys you now, the basket that you have now is going to be almost empty.
Yeah, well, I'm sure not too many people were around 1913, but Online Trading Academy has been around 25 years, so they've seen that change in the power or the value of the U.S. dollar. And that's why, as Al is talking about, it's so imperative to have more than one income source. And you were talking about, the R word, the recession. That's what the talks are. I mean, two negative quarters classifies a start of a recession. But here's one thing I think that you talked about that I want to make sure our listeners understand, because I think it's important to understand that is when recessions happen, typically there's job losses,
Right.
right? Now think about this for a second. There's a possibility that happens. I don't have a crystal ball. I hope it doesn't, but it's happened several times before. Now, if people lose their jobs, they don't have any income source.
Right.
That's why it's so important right now, before things start to get bad, is to have a backup plan.
Right.
Have income strategies. Maybe with the market, have that backup plan. So if that does happen, hopefully you've already learned those techniques, those strategies to have an income strategy. That way you're not just scratching just to get by. And
Right.
I think that's why we're seeing a lot of people coming in now. We had an investing class last night that I taught that I mentioned earlier, and we had a full class in there. And people are understanding, hey, now is the time to take action, because you don't want to do it a little bit later. It's never too late, but hey, why don't you prepare before that happens? So we do have investing classes. We have these in the weekends, during the week. We have them in the evenings as well. So pretty much anybody can attend. And we see people from all sorts of people that are going through, and they work during the day and they have 401ks or whatever that may be, not really managing them. We also see people that don't have retirement accounts that are looking to build those. So there's different strategies that we're going to talk about this investing class. So text right now. Text the word investing to the number 210, and this is for 2 tickets and a quick start kit, which will help you get started right away. Text the word investing to the number 210 for these 2 free tickets. So most people bring their spouse. We're seeing a lot of people, Al, that are actually bringing their kids with, because that's kind of the best gift that you can give a child,
Right.
which is financial education. So we're talking about different income strategies with the markets, and we talked a little bit about the stock market. There's opportunities there, even as the markets go down, but there's other markets that have opportunity that we really dive into in these investing classes. What are these other markets? And they're not new. They're
No.
just a little bit different.
Yeah, well, and think about it. If you are looking for additional income, whether you are still working and want a supplemental income, or you're in retirement and you need additional income, that is not something that can be a long-term investment. And if you need income, if you need extra cash, you probably need it now, or maybe in the next month or so, not 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road. There are different ways of approaching the markets. And when we talk about the market as being one source, if you have a job, there's usually somebody else and maybe several other people that can eliminate that job for you. And
Unfortunately.
as a trader, investor, there's nobody there that can fire you or lay you off. That's up to you to decide whether you want to quit or not. But the markets are there. They're available on a daily basis for you to take advantage of. The assets that we're talking about, that you can use for income, that you're probably not taught about through your broker or financial advisor, are things like the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market. We throw those things out there, and I think in that first segment, Josh mentioned demand zones and supply zones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are things you might not have heard of, and you might think, oh, this is confusing. No, we really try to keep it simple. The futures, Forex, and options markets, they're just different assets that you can trade like a stock or like a mutual fund. Stocks, equities are great for long-term portfolios. If you're in your 20s or 30s, put together a great stock portfolio, and by the time you retire, it's probably going to be a very beneficial portfolio for you. But learn how to manage it. Don't just put it together and then let it go on cruise control.
Yeah.
But if you need additional income, that's a different way of approaching the market. It has to be something you can get into and out of on a short-term basis. In some cases, it might be the same day. It might be the next day or a week later, a month later, but not 10 years or 15 or 20 years later. Futures is probably the shortest time frame trading vehicle. And what we're talking about there is a family of assets, which is fantastic because, and you mentioned the word, I think, correlation or inverse correlation in the first segment. What you were talking about there is if 2 things are correlated, they move in the same direction. They move up the same in the same time. They move down at the same time. If they're inversely correlated, one will move up while the other moves down. Within the futures market, you have the best combination of things for proper correlation, proper inverse correlation, proper non-correlation. It's diversification.
Yep.
And we talked to you about these in these classes, why it's so important to be properly diversified which most of you are not, even though you might have been told you are because you have many different stocks.
Yeah, just to clarify that when Al is talking about short term, a lot of people associate that with day trading, and I just
Hmm.
want to make sure that our listeners understand it's not day trading. People can do that if you
Sure,
want
they
to. I mean,
can.
we teach that as well, but that's really a thing of the past in my mind because it's just all it really means is you're in and out of your positions in the same day. So short term could really be daily or even weekly
Absolutely.
because it's just the time frame that you use on a price chart, and that's where we're
Right.
identifying, as we were talking about in the first segment and to this segment here, is where to get in your positions, but also where to get out. So talk a little bit more about the leverage that it allows people to use, because some people just don't have, like, you technically need about 25 grand with the stock market to trade with.
Right.
There's a FINRA law where you
Right.
need that if you want to trade more than 4 times per week.
Right.
How does the leverage work, and why is that such a benefit for everyday people, a lot of our listeners?
Yeah, well, to put an equity portfolio together can be very expensive. We've got Apple trading around 150 some dollars a share. Google, of course, which just split, but it was trading around $3,000 a share for a while. Uh, we have Tesla, $700-800 a share. So to put together a position in stocks like this can be very expensive. One of the reasons that the institutions and the professional traders and the successful investors and traders use these shorter term assets is not only because they can get in and out on a short term basis and hopefully have a profit there that they can realize, but also they trade with leverage. And what that means is that you can have a smaller upfront portfolio, a margin portfolio that is sort of like a down payment on a house, on a mortgage, and it allows you to trade something that is worth significantly more than the dollars you have in that account. It may be 10 to 1 leverage or 100 to 1 leverage or 50 to 1 leverage, which means at a 50 to 1 leverage, every dollar can control potentially as much as $50 worth of an investment. That's really maximizing the value of the money you have. Not only is it a better way, it's a more productive way of using your money, but it also allows a lot of people that don't have a lot of money to have a smaller account and still participate in an investment that is much larger with the potential for a much larger return.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about that in the investing class. Matter of fact, one of the investing classes recently I was teaching, there was a question when we were talking about leverage. They asked, "Well, hey, isn't if you're using leverage, isn't there more risk?" Well, if you think about it, how you trade and invest, and most people don't know this, but you actually preset everything before you get into your positions. So what we teach at Online Trading Academy, let's just say your risk may be $100. You can do that
Hmm.
with the stock market.
Hmm.
You can do that with the futures market. You can do that with the Forex market. You can do that with the options market. So we teach our students how to preset that. That way you know exactly what your risk is and what your reward is before you even get into your positions. And that is how you disconnect from emotions, fear, and greed. And we talk more about that plan, that step-by-step strategy in these investing classes. But, if you want to learn more about that, once you come into one of these classes, they're about 2 hours. I teach these, Al teaches these as well. And these are classes where we've taught thousands, just like you, are many strategies. And these are designed to teach you to make better investing decisions. So get your phones ready. I'm going to give a text number here and a keyword or a code to text to us for some tickets for this investing class and a quick start kit, which has some free stock picks in there. And that way you can kind of see how supply and demand really works in the financial markets. Text the word investing to the number 210-210. That's text investing to the number 210-210, and do that right now. We're going to get you a text right back to pick a day that works best for you. You're also going to get a call from us to make sure you have the day, the time, and also the address. We're located right here locally. So if you're listening to the show, we have a class near you. Text investing to the number 210-210. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit more about using leverage, protecting your portfolios, especially like retirement accounts, 401ks. So if you do have a 401k or an IRA and you want to make smarter investing decisions, stay tuned. We're going to talk about those techniques and concepts coming up next. Text the word investing to the number 210-210. This is Josh and Al, investing with confidence. We will be right back.